and I'm going to start out with a devotional 40 days of faith. And every day I hope to tell you a story about someone who had great faith. Today I want to talk about a lady named Lillian Trasher. Lillian was a young lady who felt led of God to go to Africa. Everybody said she was crazy and she had no money, no husband. It was the turn of the century, 1900s, yet she obeyed the call of God anyway. And boy, did amazing things happen. It wasn't based on her strength or her power, but on God's. When she got to Egypt, she found out that there were no orphanages there. You see, a lady had died and she had gotten the baby. And she knew then why she was there, to start an orphanage. She worked over 50 years in Egypt and helped over 10,000 widows and orphans. And one story goes like this. There was a fire at the orphanage. Lillian had went to sleep and she heard the school bell ringing, and she jumped up to see flames 3 stories high roaring out of the boys' dormitory. These were her babies. They called her Mama Lillian. And so Lillian ran out, and she's in panic. You know, you're woken up from sleep. And one of the boys grabbed her and said, "Everyone's out." I counted them all, and we did the fire drill that we had been practicing. They were all safe. So she called the fire department, but they didn't really show up in time. And so she's devastated because this fire is huge. And so she remembered that she had got some buckets, and the kids lined up and took buckets of water and dumped it on the fire, and it got it under control. And the boys were covered in soot. And she then noticed the fire was going toward the kitchen, and she cried out a prayer to God. She fell on her knees and she said, "Do something, Lord. The kerosene tanks are inside the kitchen. Do something," because she knew they would explode and kill the children. And right at the minute of her very prayer, the flames died down and simmered down to nothing. I know. Then the fire trucks showed up, and they made sure and confirmed the fire was out. The kids had put it out with the buckets, out of the kitchen, out of the dormitory. And the ambulance drivers were amazed. None of the kids were burned, none of them were hurt, and none of them died in the fire. And she said the very moment that she prayed that the flames started to die down. In fact, in the kitchen, there was a window that was stuck open. It would not close, and so they had stuck newspapers in that window. Well, the flames had went up all around, but the newspapers never caught fire. They were still there. If the newspapers would have caught fire, it would have burned into the kitchen and the kerosene tanks would have blown up. But she believes her prayers to God saved all of the children. May God bless you today, and don't forget to pray.